One of the reasons I'm creating this video is I guess I want to be a voice kind of for those who can't really speak for themselves, or those who don't know how to express what's going on in their lives. I mean, I'm talking about autism. There's a lot of hidden challenges with it, and I was diagnosed at an early age with a mild autistic spectrum disorder. You know, they labeled me as someone with AS. I mean, now let's just first get some things straight. You know, to have an autistic spectrum disorder, a high-functioning autism, doesn't mean a person is less intelligent. You know, sometimes the challenges that come along with it are learning challenges because we process things in our brain and sometimes a more slower pace or a different way than other people do. And so there's something that they call processing speed, to where you're saying something and the person's comprehension is going at a certain pace, and what you're saying is going faster than what they can comprehend. Now, these individuals are very sophisticated most of the time. They can think on a very deep level. In fact, we are often overthinkers, but what happens with processing speed is we need more time to digest what you're saying than the speed in which you're saying it. And I think that can be a problem. It's not that we don't learn or we can't learn. In fact, autistic people are very intelligent more often than not, and they may not to brag about myself. I mean, I don't know about myself, but I can tell you that I've met a lot of people on the spectrum that are very intelligent people and experts in their interest. You know, we tend to latch on to fascinating interests that we find enjoyable. We like to learn oftentimes. You know, one of the big things about autism is an obsessive interest where we like to learn stuff, and that gets us excited. You know, that makes us feel like we're doing something we enjoy, whether it be, it's kind of a hobby. Learning, we like to learn things. But, you know, I want to talk about the temperament issues, because I think sometimes it's hard to understand why people with this disorder, whether diagnosed or not, are sometimes the way they are. And sometimes it does come with challenges because of the way our brains handle stress and information. And sometimes, for me, I know I can be, from surface appearance, I can look a little bit difficult, you know, to deal with. You know, I have challenges such as, you know, sometimes people think I'm just insensitive, or just say things that are just inappropriate, or not the most sensitive, or what is it, tactful. And I've tried to work on this a very long time. You know, as a Christian, I think, you know, it is very important to keep tact in place and try to be, you know, not intentionally offend people for no reason. But sometimes, you know, we run across those people that just seem to say the most interesting things, and we wonder what's going through their head and why they said that, and maybe if they're trying to intentionally be hurtful. But I don't think so. I think that's just a part of the social impairment, or and sometimes it's hard to, you know what we sound like to others unless they repeat it back to us. So, you know, I encourage anybody who thinks they have a friend that might have this challenge to be patient, you know, especially if you're pretty sure they do, because sometimes, you know, we do come across as insensitive, but we do oftentimes, people with autism are very sensitive people in some regards and don't want to hurt anybody. You know, the autistic child is often, you know, the high functioning, you know, if there's verbal communication there, has often been labeled as the difficult child. And, you know, the reason for that is they just process the world in such a different way that when you try conventional methods of like a parenting or like whatnot on them, it's kind of not what they're used to. It's like kind of like, let's say you have two goldfish in a bowl, and one takes a special type of fish food, since it's a particular different species of goldfish, versus the regular run-of-the-mill goldfish where it can take just any type of fish food. Now, you know, we got to be aware of what people need and what is most beneficial and edifying to that person's well-being. And so I think it's good to know what certain people need in regards to their basic needs. You know, what we say, what we do for them, what we, you know, how we interact with them. People have needs. You know, everybody on the face of the planet has a particular type of needs. that they need met. And so I think with someone who has autism as a child, you know, these needs may differ just a little bit. And, you know, I know as a kid, I was very neat, compulsive, and organized. Now look at me now. You know, it's not that I don't like staying tidy. I do. In fact, I'm almost obsessive about it. But, you know, one of the problems here is I struggle with getting overwhelmed with certain things. You know, when stuff piles up, I get kind of a screw it mentality. I can't stay on top of this. I'm just going to let it go. I mean, not that I don't want to, but like if it gets past a certain point, then it's very hard for me to manage because, you know, one of the things is that comes with it is ADD, and that makes it very hard to, you know, stay on top of stuff once it gets past a certain point because there's a lack of concentration. And, you know, to a degree, it's just I need to be disciplined and just, as my dad would say, put some elbow grease into it. But, you know, that's harder for a person with an autism spectrum disorder. Also, you know, as a kid, I was very, very compulsive and obsessive about where stuff was in my room. I was very organized, and I tried to keep things a certain way, and I remember it would throw me into a rage if I found out my brother had been in my room and had messed with certain things and moved things in a certain way. And now that I look back on it, I can see that was probably just my desire to control and micromanage my surroundings. And so that is often another trait of an autism spectrum disorder, and in some cases of autism it's more prevalent. But, like, you know, I've met people who've had Asperger's or any type of or high functioning autism that some of them do not like being moved from place to place. When they're sitting in a place at a job, that really causes a lot of anxiety when they're moved from one place to the other. They like to stay where they're put, you know, in some cases. Now, there's forms of autism where, you know, people don't like to be in the same routine. They like lots of change. But, you know, and so the thing is, autism can either often affect you extremely in one way or the other, you know. And I think sometimes to say that, you know, all autistic people just love routine, you know, well, there's types of autism where a person does not like routine unless it's a method of way they do things. Some people are more routine in their methods of how they handle certain situations and do certain things, and some people are more routine general. They go to the same places, they hang out in the same spots all the time, and that's kind of like why I've gravitated to Hy-Vee. It's kind of like my place that I like. Well, partly, you know, part of that is I got stuck going there. You know, I got programmed into, you know, just staying there all the time, is because they started selling the energy drinks for a lot cheaper than anyone else. So it was just easy to just go there all the time. And after a while, the place grew on me. So I began to go there all the time. But, you know, I wanted to create this little video, hopefully, so that we can get this information out there. Just so, you know, the Bible says we're to bear with one another's burdens, carry each other's burdens out of love, you know, and this we fulfill the law of Christ. And I think whether, you know, you're a person without it or with it, you know, we got to learn how to, you know, love each other as Christ loves other people. And I think it would be really helpful if I posted this. So God bless. Bye.